Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Indiana Basketball After the Game with Todd Leary, brought to you by Endeavor Hospitality's WOW Network and Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Now it's time for a full recap and reaction with Todd Leary.
Well, I hope we don't get the reaction because I'm pretty sure what it would be, which would be very familiar to a lot of other people. But thankful to be here and thankful to have former IU player Todd Leary with us, of course, and Clayton Anderson, country singer. Everybody knows he's actually playing out here in Kansas City. Todd was supposed to be the bassist, but he didn't show up.
That's convenient. Did you schedule that based on the game, or did that just happen to be the case?
That was just randomly happening, and thank goodness it did, because I'd be mad as heck if I wasted my time to come out here and watch that. That's brutal.
You know what? It was brutal, and last week I know no one enjoyed the Arizona loss, but they were giant. They're big. That's a Final Four team. They're probably a #1 seed. And not that this isn't a good team, but they're not better than it. They don't have better athletes, but they had harder working athletes. They had harder defending athletes. They had better shooting athletes. They just got outplayed today. I hate to say that, but it's just a fact of the matter. And from my vantage point here, Todd, you are obviously much more in tune to the basketball ins and outs.
Yeah, I mean, watching it on TV, I don't know what it looked like live, but watching it on TV it looked like one team was playing at a different pace than the other one. Like, they looked faster. They were jumping all the passing lanes. They looked faster on offense. They cut faster. They dribbled faster. They jumped higher. It looked like it was, I'll say a varsity team versus a JV team. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully, because I still think Indiana has a lot of good things going for them. But the Arizona game and this game shows Indiana how much they have to work on. And honestly, like, I'm not that disheartened by it. I still think they have a chance to be really good, but it's going to be like one of those Michigan State type goods where they struggle a little bit in the early part of the season, and then hopefully they figure out a way to peak in February and March. Because
we'll give
these two games have been
ugly, hard to watch. We'll give the folks a minute to jump on, but while we are, we'll talk to our man Clayton. I haven't seen him. He was back in the summer. He was down in Bedford playing at Sports Grill down there, and that was fun time. The weather didn't work out well, but now, man, you're out in Kansas City, baby, getting some barbecue.
Yeah, we're going to have the barbecue. We're going to do it all up and play some going to Kansas City, here I come. No, I don't know. I'm so excited to play, but just watching the game, I got here late because we were in St. Louis last night and woke up and the battery was dead. I was so mad.
I think IU had that same problem.
Yeah, but that's what, like, coming in and then watching them play and Todd on watching it live, they were a step slow. It was look like a JV team playing a varsity team, and I don't know, like, growing up us Hoosiers, we know the game of basketball more than the coach does most of the time, right? Because Coach Knight taught us all the game of basketball. Sure. But, like, if you're going to make it, and I know they get paid now and they're different, but, like, my goodness, even in high school, I felt afraid to make a turnover, and it's so frustrating. Like, I wanted to throw my popcorn on everywhere, all over myself, because there's no sense of urgency. There's no like, I don't understand it. There's, like, the awareness, the court awareness of. I just don't understand why these guys don't have a little more focus, and it just seemed like they were asleep.
You're gonna throw your popcorn, you might as well throw it all over yourself.
I know, right? I didn't want. We had a big guy sitting next to us, so I didn't want to make him mad.
Well, I hope that you guys are more locked in tonight on the show.
Oh yeah. We're fired up. I'm gonna have fun now. I guess I'm gonna have a lot of cocktails to try to get over this one.
What was the crowd like? What was the crowd like there?
Actually, it was great.
Big crowd.
It was Indiana had a presence here. It was not Arizona, where they were like 85%. But I got to give them credit. To a place like this where it's probably hard to get tickets, they got tickets. There was a presence.
Yeah, the season ticket holders around us say this is the most away team they've ever had in here by far.
Really?
And I think when we made the run back and got it to 10, you could hear us start chirping a little bit, but they're great fans here. I got to give them credit because, my God, they jumped right on us and shut us up, and then the team came out and really shut us up.
Yeah, well, I've already said, I've always commented on, I love Assembly Hall. It's my favorite place to play, obviously. But the two loudest arenas I've ever been in are Purdue and Kansas. And when we played there at that place, it was deafening. Like, it was unbelievable. And I did talk to some people who were there at the game, and they said the beginning of the game, it was crazy. But then once they got ahead by 20, it kind of, everybody was, yeah.
I fell asleep.
Yeah, man.
I started dozing off.
It's very hard to be positive after that game. Like, I'm pretty negative when it comes to watching some of these things and some of the mistakes like you're talking about, Clayton. I mean, 23 turnovers is just, that's the kind of game that it was a noon game, unfortunately, because by the time we got back about 7:00 tonight, we'd have our uniforms on and we'd be out until who knows when. And we'd have watched that game film. And, that's one of the differences. And I'm not saying one was better than another, but it's just different nowadays. Like, coaches can't do that. If they do that tonight, there'll be 8 guys in the transfer portal by tomorrow. And that's just the nature of the business, the way it is now. And it's more of a business than a sport. And that's part of it that as fans we've got to accept. But I don't think we have to accept what we thought this team was incredibly athletic and talented, which I still think they're pretty athletic and very talented, but they're getting outworked by the two best teams that we've played. And that's not a description you ever want as a player or as a coach about your team. That's not ever what you want to hear as someone describing how you played.
Yeah, it's just the simple things too. Like there was no, especially down there when we need to make a stop when they're coming back. Like it's just like we just reach in. There's no movement. There's not slide your feet over. They're just the fundamentals of the game.
The sloppiness with the ball was just utterly amazing, all the way to the end where they're just
balls
up in the air.
Notice this? Was it as obvious live? So like if I asked you right now, like, could you tell me what Kansas's game plan was defensively against Indiana? Like, what were they doing?
Double team Trace Jackson Davis. Shut him down.
Double team every ball screen.
Everybody. Yes, they did double
every
team.
Ball screen, and every time anyone in the post caught the ball, they double team. Like it wasn't we're gonna take it out of Trace Jackson Davis's hands. We're blitzing, and that's one of the terms that they use in with their teams. All the teams nowadays is, you can double team a ball screen where a guy comes off of it and you kind of let him come at you, and then you guys kind of, box him in, or you can blitz him where you go at him and you basically try to hit him with your chest and really be physical with that. And the refs were letting them get away with it. It wasn't illegal. It was good defense, but they had, my point in that is that reminded me of stuff Coach Knight would have had us do. Now, obviously in our day, we didn't have as many ball screens and things like that. But I know what their defensive game plan was. I know what they were doing. I could look at it and tell you what they talked about all week long and how they were going to play. I couldn't tell you that about Indiana. I couldn't tell. Like, I think our game plan was we're going to play everybody heads up. We're going to play him straight up and guard your guy and don't let him get to the rim. Like, I couldn't tell you specifically what we were trying to accomplish defensively, but I could tell you what they were. And
they took us right out of what we were trying to do, and 100%. And then it's frustrating down on when we would come down the floor, when they would run that screen or get that guy, we just trailed him the whole way. He didn't try to beat him to a spot. He just followed him all the way for an easy layup.
Every guys got beat defensively. Jalen Chafino got beat. A guy going to the bucket just right around him. Trace Jackson Davis got beat. They were a step slow.
And this is what looked so, like, if you went back and watched that game film, that was an incredible defensive performance from Kansas.
Oh yeah.
Because not only were they aggressive, and then they were trapping the ball screens and trapping everything inside. Any cross they were trapping it and double teaming it. But their rotation, they were rotating 2 and 3 passes ahead. And when you're able to rotate like that, man, that was such Coach Knight defensive scheme game plan right there. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he hadn't watched one of Coach's defensive videos, because that was exactly what we used to try to do all the time, and they've got great athletes to accomplish it.
Lost one of their guards today, down a guard again. Right now, we don't know what's wrong with Xavier, but it's a foot issue. He did not come back, played only 9 minutes in the game. Whether he's playing great or not, it still hurts to not have him available to you.
Yeah, and on looking at it on here, they showed the replay multiple times, and It didn't look like there was any contact. That looks like one of those he probably broke his foot type thing. Like it isn't like he got rolled up on or anything. Like it sure didn't
non-contact. Nothing worse than a non-contact injury, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Man, I mean, you kicked their butts.
He was just praising the Kansas fans, and now
I can appreciate some
I take it back. I take it back. They've been nice all day, and now I take it back.
I appreciate their intensity and their love of the sport.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a tremendous. You know what? It was absolutely, without question, one of the best environments I've been in.
Great place to watch a game. Incredible.
Absolutely.
It reminded me when I sat down, I looked at my buddy sitting next to me. I said, man, I feel like I'm in sectional afternoon basketball in the state of Indiana.
It looks like Hinkle Fieldhouse.
It does. I said that earlier. I said, this is very close to Hinkle, a little better with the way it's designed.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, it's a great place. There's not a bad seat in here.
That's one of those
16,000.
That's one of those places that, they probably should build a new facility, build a new dome thing or whatever. But how could you? Like, it's got so much history and tradition. It's just
the corridors are wide,
Yeah,
plenty of room.
good.
Usually, them old, an old stadium or old places, narrow corridors and stuff.
I think that this is a place that they could continue to modernize in any way they need to. The way it's set up,
This is a weird, stupid question. But was it hot in there?
I wasn't. I was comfortable.
I'll tell you why I'm asking. But it wasn't hot.
Nah, it's comfortable.
It was weird because every player on IU's team didn't have their warm-up pants on or their warm-up shirt on. They all just sat there in their uniform throughout the whole game. Everyone on the guys who hadn't been in the game the whole time. And I looked at it, I'm like, that just doesn't even look. It looks weird. Like none of it looked right. I just wondered if it was like 90 degrees in there or something.
Yeah. So where does Indiana go now if Xavier's injury is longer lasting than several games? If that's going to Indiana just got Jalen Hood-Schifino back today in this game. Now they're down a guard again.
Yeah, I mean, that's what am I going to use the typical term all coaches say, next man up or whatever you want to call it, but Indiana has depth. That's one of the things. I mean, they'll be a different basketball team. I've said all along. I know Xavier Johnson can make some plays that kind of frustrate you from time to time, but he's also, in the Xavier basketball game, and I forget one of the other games, Indiana was struggling offensively a lot, and he was the guy who got everybody going. And somebody's going to have to step up to kind of that leadership role as much as whatever his statistical loss is. They're going to have to step up to be more of a facilitator. I mean, can a guy play? I can't even remember the guy's name. The Harris guy, that Harris guy for Kansas, DeJuan Harris. I mean, have you ever seen a guy control a game more than that guy? Like everything, he had 10 assists and every one of them was beautiful. Like that's the kind of play that Indiana. That's what Jalen Hood-Schifino could do. I mean, that guy didn't shoot. He didn't make any baskets. I don't even think we're outside the lane. He just controlled the game, and got the ball where it needed to go. And I mean, that's the kind of guard play that Indiana needs to have from a Jalen Hood-Schifino.
Double, 10 and 10.
Yeah.
10 assists and 10 points. I mean, that's they had 6 guys in double figures, man. 6.
Trace almost had another triple-double. Do you think we would have made as big a deal about it?
No, I didn't even – no one was even paying attention to it except for
He had 9 blocks.
Wow.
His low thing was his rebounds.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, we
6.
rebounded. That was another thing. The rebounding was terrible.
They looked – that's what I mean. That's what I meant more by the JV varsity thing because they looked bigger, stronger, more athletic, faster jumping. I've always described Trace as I think he's the quickest second jumper and the most strong second jumper probably in the whole country. But it didn't look like it tonight. I mean,
points in the paint, 50-24.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, they allowed 50 points.
I would have loved to see what the halftime was of that because we couldn't score in the lane. Every basket every shot in the lane was either blocked, contested, missed. Like we couldn't get anything off. We couldn't even get it off. Like it was bad. When we cut it back to 10,
it was 24-6 at the half.
For points in the paint.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. And those six were probably layups.
Layups, I guarantee you. So yeah.
I don't think we had any good moves. I think we might have had one. I think Trace made that one kind of fadeaway, or no, Race made the one fadeaway basket. But it was I mean, obviously, it was just one of those games where it started poorly, but when it got to where we cut it to 10 in the second half, and we had 2 possessions.
Oh,
where
there's
they didn't
Miller
score,
Kopp missed a 3-pointer that would have cut it to 7. I mean,
2 possessions,
boy.
and then the next possession, they didn't score again. The next possession, we turned it over, and you're just like, at that point, you knew it was going to be a struggle from there on.
4 minutes later, it was 58-40. They let Kansas go on that run, and then it was over from that point. It was like someone throwing the towel, shoot the horse, it's over. Done.
Yeah,
over,
I mean, you know, and it was so reminiscent of the Arizona game. Like it's, I mean, I'm reading all these kind of trying not to because everyone is jumping off the bandwagon really quickly. But it's still, remember, it's still December, and this team is good. They're talented. They will get it figured out. But
what was the 81 national championship team, Todd? What did they start out?
Huh?
What did the 81 national championship team start out? They were terrible, weren't they?
They weren't great. Like
this is not going to be a championship team.
But 87 was the same way. I mean, that team, I don't even think that team won the Big Ten.
Now, you guys always got off to good starts. It seems like in your team when you were there. I don't remember.
Yeah, well, and I mean, this team's off to a good start. It just, you know, we said this, Jim, at the right before. I think we did it on our show on November the 30th when they played against North Carolina, and we were like, "What a stretch they have coming up! They got North Carolina, Kansas, Arizona, and then 2 Big Ten games. I mean, that's an important 5 stretch games right there. And what would you grade them? What would you grade them right now out of that 5-game stretch? Like, this is probably worst case scenario, I would have thought.
This is, and I thought Arizona was going to be the worst. You know, they still came out 2-2, but
I mean, like the whole 5 games as a group, I don't think I would have said
they barely won it, Xavier.
Yeah, 2-3 was going to be a very good result.
No, you barely won. Add Xavier on top of that.
Yeah,
and the other team you beat is the
North
fastest
Carolina.
team to ever drop from number 1 out of the top 25. So,
I mean,
not a lot to hang on that.
Hey, I'm reading a lot of these comments. I'm not ignoring everyone over there. I just am. I'm trying to stay positive. I'm not very good at it. You know that. But
I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be all right come Big Ten if they just have some intensity and some purpose. It's just watching Kansas play.
That's
again of that varsity JV thing. It's like these guys have purpose and the ball movement and the crispness of their pass. Even they made one lackadaisical. What is that word I'm trying to find? Lackadaisical pass, and sure as he did, Self had him out of the game, and he had his butt on the bench. And they just were more focused. But I hate to run. But my band's going to leave me. We got to get to Kansas City. I appreciate you guys having me.
Off to Kansas City. Kansas City,
here I come. Yeah, we're going to get after it. I appreciate you guys.
Buddy,
love
Clayton
you.
Anderson, we cannot thank you enough, buddy. Can't wait to see you. When are you back in Indiana?
I don't have anything on the calendar. We just signed with a new booking agent, so we got a lot of things cooking in the fire in Nashville and hoping we can blow it up and get real crazy out on the road doing like a big tour. So hopefully
head down to Nashville and see him.
Yeah, come on with it.
But appreciate you very much.
Go Hoosiers, baby. Go Hoosiers.
Appreciate you joining us today, buddy. Clayton Anderson joining us here on the postgame show with Todd Leary. Todd, there's not a whole lot more to say, really. I mean, we touched on it. Now Trey Galloway is going to have to step up again and be that guy that is that second guard, which he's done an okay job at it. I
mean, it's not going to surprise me if that next guard isn't Tamar Bates. I mean, Tamar's played.
He's playing really well.
He's playing aggressive. He's confident. I mean, it won't surprise me if he doesn't end up being the starter. But I could care less about the starter role of it. Just who's going to contribute, and I think it's got to be by committee. Use the easy term on that. I think there's going to have to be a bunch of guys step up. I'll tell you, Indiana fans are smart. I mean, Clayton was bringing it up. Like, Indiana fans are smart about basketball. Like, we all sit there, we're frustrated as IU fans, but we recognize good basketball. I mean, that's a good team. We didn't lose to a team that wasn't very good. Like, they are talented, and they played hard, and they played well. And
well coached. They
executed a game plan. Like, that is That's fun to watch.
It was.
And I think this team can get there, but they're not there yet.
You could see it too. I mean, you could see from the get-go, they were following a script. Kansas was following a script that was working to perfection, and Indiana may have been more frustrated today than they were against Arizona. I don't know that it's like they almost didn't expect it. And man, oh man, Trace Jackson-Davis was just locked down for most of the day. He couldn't fight through those double teams and turn the ball over, not able to pass out of that like he's normally able to. Just take your hat off to the job that Kansas did. But Indiana is going to have to face that. I mean, we talked about that after the Rutgers game. Here's the blueprint for beating Indiana. Well, it worked again. So why would the next team not do the same exact thing?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna scout Trace Jackson-Davis, I mean, you're gonna scout him and you're gonna say double team him in the post quickly and aggressively, like get to him fast. Don't wait till he dribbles or whatever. Go to him immediately. It causes more turnovers than not. And don't let him catch the ball, make him catch it farther out. He's not great at dribble penetrating and getting to the basket, and that's he's got some weaknesses. He'll improve on them, I'm sure. But that's the game plan against Indiana. And it wasn't just Trace. Like they were hard hedge double teaming every cross. In every cross of the ball, everything that Indiana did with the ball was getting blitzed, and it was difficult. Like the comment on there, Dave Hale. Like I don't know Dave Hale, who makes a comment on there of let them leave in the portal. Yeah, that's like the old mentality. That's our Bob Knight coaching mentality. If they don't want to be here, get them out of here. That's just not the temperature of college basketball anymore. And that the coaches can't have that kind of mentality anymore, or you'll end up with a Louisville situation, and you'll have a complete new roster of guys who've never played together before.
They're going to surpass the 2008 Indiana team, I think, on their bad season.
Yeah,
boy, that's rough. Does this team have enough talent right now to be in the upper echelon of the Big Ten this year?
I mean, talent. So let's define the terms. Talent being like athletic ability and skill, being able to defend and that kind of stuff. Yes. Skills, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sold on it yet. I've not seen the consistent shooting. I'm going to use that as the basic skill. I mean, defense isn't a skill as much as it is playing hard and knowing what you're trying to do and trying to accomplish and take away from the other team. That's just playing hard. Everyone can kind of do that. But skill-wise, not everyone can shoot. And I'm not sure that this team at this point right now has the skill to be a top 3 team in the Big Ten. But they have the talent from a athletic perspective. They definitely have that. They've got the depth. They've got all of that. It's just different. Like, if you turn this game on, if there was a way to do this and you could take all 5 guys off the floor, like take Kansas's 5 guys that are on the floor and not have a defense, but just show how fast they're going around, and then flip-flop and do the same thing with Indiana, you would think the Kansas tape that you were watching was fast-forwarded, because they were flying all over the court offensively and defensively. They had a mission, and they were flying all over the place. Indiana kind of cool guided, in my opinion.
What's finals week like? Preparing for a game like this, you have a week off, but it's finals week as well. What is that like preparing? Do you still have a solid week to prepare for this team like we think that they did?
Yes. Yeah, you do. Like finals week actually is, you have more time than the average week, because most professors, they'll set a time up for your test or half of them are online anymore, maybe all of them. And so you're really just kind of preparing for that. I could be wrong, and there may be 7 guys on the team that are this way. But I think we have good students. I don't think we have anybody that spends 14 hours a day studying for their tests and is going to come on and be a brain surgeon. And I'm not saying we're dumb. I'm just saying we don't have guys that are, trying to, like Alan Henderson, we always thought was going to be a doctor. Like he was a biology major. Like he was smart, like insanely smart, always wanting to study and that stuff. And I'll just say the rest of us weren't necessarily taking that part of it that serious. We got good grades. I went to class. I did my work. I got my stuff done, but I went to IU to play basketball. Probably not supposed to say that, but I was a athletic student, not a student athlete.
Hey, I'm sure you probably were not alone.
I'm saying most of us were that way. Alan might have been the exception, maybe Nover.
Where does Indiana go from here?
Yeah, this is the crap part about what you're saying, it being finals week, because now you've got two lesser opponents, let's just say, in the next two games. Not fun, exciting games to play. It's not going to surprise me if we don't do kind of what they did back in mid to late November, rest some guys a little bit here and there. You got the Big Ten coming up. But when I say that, the coaches would probably scoff at that and say, we can't rest anybody. Like, we got to get these guys on the floor playing together. And there's validity to that statement too. This is a tough, everyone talks about how awesome it is to play, not just at IU, but play college sports. And this is the hard part. Like, mentally, this is the difficult time. Like, trying to get your confidence back after, call it both Arizona and Kansas, two games you were super excited for on national TV in prime time. And I'll say they laid an egg in both of them. Like, they did not look good in either one. I don't know. It's tough. Like, mentally, this is the tough part. This is really difficult to get yourself back up for.
Do they not realize that they didn't have the intensity? I mean, when do you realize we didn't have the intensity? We didn't have what they had. We did not match them in any way in how they were playing. We didn't have the toughness. When does this team realize that? How do they realize that?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've always found was difficult, because people will say, they had a whole week and they weren't prepared to play, and that's not true. I think here's what Coach Knight was so good at, and I'm not saying this coaching staff isn't the same way. I'm just telling you what I do know that Coach Knight was very good at in preparing us for anything that might happen. So when you start that game out, preparing us for we already had in our mind, okay, what if they're going to blitz all these ball screens? Stop ball screening. Take that away from them. Like, we understood if they were going to do this, we were going to do this. A lot of times we were the ones who dictated what was going to happen. If your players are good enough, you can dictate what the other team is going to have to do. If we would have anticipated that they were going to handle it that way, which I'm going to say we didn't, because if we did, we didn't handle it very well.
Hey, do you have a COVID year?
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I think I played 16 years anyway. No one would want to see this body out on the court. Trust me. But the difference from it's not that the guys weren't ready to play. It's not that they stayed out too late. It's not that anything like that. I've never seen someone that took the attitude of, I don't really care. I'm not that prepared. Don't blame NIL. Don't blame the money they have and all that. These guys, it was national TV. They want to play well. They want to do good. They want to win. Like, nobody wants to lose. If one thing that these guys are, as most athletes are, you're cocky, you're kind of an ass, and you love to, like that lady that walked behind you a minute ago, you love to talk a little trash, even if it's just joking and kind of fun.
Yeah.
You love to be able to talk some trash and be.
Well, let me tell you, they pulled the ultimate. I got to give them props on this too. If you ever seen Josie Wales, the movie?
The Outlaw Josie Wales?
Yeah.
Of course.
There's an old woman. They're in this general store, and she's talking to somebody, and they're telling them where she's from. Well, I don't like people from Missouri, or I'm from India. Well, I don't think much of Hoosiers neither. Boy, they played that on the screen, and this place.
No way.
Oh yes.
No way.
I was like, I got to give them props for that. That was pretty damn good. That was pretty good. As soon as it came on, I was like, oh man. I said, that's funny.
But you know what's the fun part? Like, I llove when they make fun of us being hillbillies and Corn State and all that stuff. And and then you go out and beat their butt. Like that's what's fun about it. Like I love that side of it, and I don't know. It's just tough. Like I don't think the guys were not prepared. I don't think I obviously don't think they didn't not want to win. Like they wanted to win. They wanted to play well. Things started out bad, and I think everyone always would agree with this. It's really hard to come back when momentum's not on your side, and you can't see momentum or feel momentum or taste momentum. Like momentum is a real factor, and when it's not going your way, it's one of the hardest things to turn around that there is, especially in a basketball game on the road and in that environment. I mean, that's one of the top 5 places in the country to play, and so they didn't get off to a good start, like you mentioned earlier.
Again,
and it's almost impossible. No, it's not. No, that's not true. It's not almost impossible. It's just extremely difficult to turn that back around. And then, Jim, even when they were just down 10, like everything we've described had all happened throughout the whole game, and they're still down 10 with 2 possessions to cut it to 6 or 5, and with good shots. I mean, it might be a different game. Then all of a sudden, you've got the momentum, and you kind of put the pressure back on Kansas at that point. But, that didn't happen. And it's Dick Vitale, to give him credit. I mean, with 6 minutes to go in the first half, Indiana had been completely dominated, and he made a special point to say this last 6 minutes is very important. And I think we all know Coach Knight used to always say the last 5 minutes of the first half and the first 5 minutes of the second half are the most important 10 minutes of the game. And Kansas dominated that 10 minutes, especially the last 5 minutes of the first half.
Well, they dominated a whole bunch of it, unfortunately, for this Indiana team. You mentioned the next 2 games, the easy ones, Elon, Kennesaw State. It looked like they thought they were playing Elon and Kennesaw State today.
Yeah.
I just could not believe the laziness on the passes and whatnot, but we've already talked about that ad nauseum. But so that's about all you can say about it today. But before I forget, I do want to thank everybody at the Endeavor Hospitality and the Wow Club, baby, in Southern Stone Restaurant, where Monday night you can catch Don Fisher and Coach Mike Woodson at 7:05, and maybe Todd Leary, and they're eating some catfish bites.
You know that. I mean, you can always find me there. That place is awesome. It's great. Like, unfortunately, that's what we end up talking about in a game like this. Like, I just got to shut up because I'm going to get more and more negative. Like, this is frustrating. I want to win one of these. I want to win one of these tough games. One of these games you're not supposed to win. Like, I want to win one of these.
Well, hopefully they will, and they will do that soon. But we'll be there to cover it for you, and we appreciate everybody being along for the ride today. Most importantly, of course, big thanks to Clayton Anderson for joining us earlier before he gets off to his gig tonight in Kansas City, and of course the man Todd Leary, as well as this is After the Game with Todd Leary. So much. Thank you guys so much as well. Without you, there's no reason for us to be here. Joe, the producer, big shout out as well, keeping us between the white lines today. I hope you guys have a good one, man. It's off to the airport for me. Until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to After the Game with Todd Leary. Make sure to catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio each Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 10:30 live on YouTube, or at your leisure by subscribing to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on YouTube. We'll see you next time for another edition of After the Game with Todd Leary.